Manchester United fans, what is really going on? Honestly, just take a moment and look at this properly. If we had taken even half of the chances we missed against Bournemouth, especially in that first half, this game should have been finished, wrapped up, and buried early. We created chance after chance after chance. 25 shots. 9 on target. And only 4 goals to show for it. This right here is the biggest reason we've dropped so many points this season, and we need to stop running away from that truth. We've criticized the coach again and again, and sometimes that criticism is fair, but we rarely keep the same energy for the strikers. That has to change. It's also fair to say that AFCON has come at the right time from Mbeumo, because right now it feels like his body is still here but his mind is already somewhere else. Over the last 4 games, he has been nowhere near his usual level, missing chances, making poor decisions, and it's been very unlike him. And yes, Cunha has missed chances too, but the amount of work he puts in for this team makes it harder to go in on him the same way. Still, if we can hold the coach responsible when games are lost because chances aren't taken, then we must also hold the attackers responsible for these drop points. I said this after the Wolves game and people thought I was joking. Here is the video. Manchester United fans, finally we have won a game. After missing out on opportunities to go second in the table, opportunity to go fourth in the table and opportunity to go fifth in the table, we have finally taken an opportunity to go sixth in the table. But let me be brutally honest with you right now, I am not happy with this performance at all. Yes, we collected the 3 points, yes, we did it away from home. And yes, it was against a Wolves side sitting 20th on the table, a team we should be beating every single time. But with the amount of clear chances we created in this match, we should have beaten them by 6 goals minimum and like 3 goals in the first half. This game should have been over before half-time, that is the standard Manchester United should have. Now don't get me wrong, I love this club with my entire life, and I'm happy we won. But we have to be real with ourselves. If we played like this against a team like Bournemouth, with the kind of huge chances we wasted in both halves, do you honestly think we would walk away with 3 points? No chance. The Premier League does not forgive wastefulness. The Premier League punishes you if you miss so many chances in a game. You cannot miss chances like this and expect to win games in the Premier League, especially when you're playing an attacking system. In this video, I'm going to explain why we keep conceding goals, especially in our last game and also even when De Ligt is in the team, and why it's not a coincidence that we only have 1 clean sheet in the league. There is a clear reason for it, and I'll break it all down, but before we get into that, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any of my Manchester United content. Now before we even talk about why we keep conceding so many goals, we have to start with Ruben Amarim himself, because context matters here.
Some of the criticism of you post-Grimsby has been about formations and systems. I know on Wednesday you said it's not about formations and systems, that's not important. If it's not important, why are you so inflexible? And would you ever consider, if things got worse, of changing and adapting?
Guys, if I feel that it's best to change, I know I played in all my life in a 4-4-2, 4-3-3. The only system that I didn't play 1 minute, 3-4-3. So I know all and I just have one idea that we need to be so good in this way of playing, then we are going to adapt. It's like some coaches has a mentality that I'm going to put this system and then I'm going to change. What I'm thinking is that we have one system that is going to adapt to different systems. And then when everyone is doing this with his eyes shut, I'm going to change a lot of things.
From that interview Amarim gave, you can clearly understand what his real plan has always been. He never intended to stick to just one rigid system. What he wanted was to introduce different secondary formations, but all of them under the main structure of the 3-4-3. The reason for this approach is very simple, and it's something many fans choose to ignore. He wants the players to fully understand the primary system first before asking them to adapt to other shapes. As fans, we are often impatient. We shout change the formation every single week, but we don't actually listen to what the manager is saying. Amarim has already explained this before. He said clearly that changes will come, different formations will come, different tactical setups will come, but only after the players properly understand the foundation. Because if the players don't understand how the 3-4-3 works, then switching to something like a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 won't magically fix anything. It won't be a real change, it will just create more confusion. This isn't about changing numbers on paper, it's about tactical flexibility. The formation might be written as a 3-4-3 before kickoff, but during the game it's a 4-4-2, sometimes a 3-4-3. That is the whole idea. And Amarim cannot demand that level of flexibility if the players don't first understand the base system. We saw exactly what he was talking about in the game against Bournemouth. On paper, it was a 3-4-3. At certain moments in the game, it was clearly a 3-4-3. But for large periods of that match, especially when we had possession or when Bournemouth tried to hit us on the counter, the shape naturally shifted into a 4-4-2. Most of the time, we were actually defending and building play with a back four. This wasn't accidental, this wasn't confusion. This was Amarim doing exactly what he said he would do once the players started understanding the primary system.
It's that period where the AFCON is on. How much of a challenge will that be for you? Because obviously Ahmad, Brian and Nusir are very important members of your squad.
I think it's going to be hard, but then that is the good thing of the experience. We lived so many limitations last year because we changed in January and we didn't bring the players, and then we had the injury of Ahmad for 4 months, all these things. So we are prepared for that. Even it will be hard for us, but we have a different baggage to deal with that.
He also made it clear that the team is already preparing for AFCON, and that statement alone tells you a lot about Amarim's thinking. He knew this moment was coming. He knew that losing key players like Ahmad, Bumo, and Mazraoui would force changes, especially if we continued strictly with a back three. Without those players, playing a pure three-man defense would make it harder to create chances, harder to control games, and harder to impose ourselves offensively. That's why he started working on alternatives early. This is not something he just decided overnight. He has already been training the team to play with a back four, so that when AFCON arrives, the transition won't feel foreign. He understood that sticking rigidly to a back three without those players would limit us, so preparation was necessary. But the key point is this: before introducing those changes, he wanted the players to fully understand the primary system first. That was always his priority. He said it himself, the foundation had to be solid before adjustments could be made. Once the players understood the main structure, then he could introduce different patterns, different shapes, and different ways of playing during matches. That's exactly what we're starting to see now. The changes we're seeing are not panic decisions, they are planned adaptations. Amarim knew what was coming, he prepared for it, and now we are seeing the results of that preparation on the pitch. Against Bournemouth, we clearly played with a midfield four and a back four. At the back, it was Heaven and Luke Shaw as the two central defenders, with Euro and Dalot operating as the full-backs. In midfield, we had Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes in the middle, while Mason Mount and Ahmad played as the two wide midfielders. Up front, it was Cunha and Bumo leading the line together. If you looked at the setup during the game, it looks like a four-man midfield, but when you actually watch the game closely, it still felt like a two-man midfield at times. And the reason for that is very simple. Mount and Ahmad were given very specific instructions. Their job was to create overloads out wide, push high, carry the ball forward through the wings, and stretch Bournemouth as much as possible. That is exactly how a traditional 4-4-2 works. When you are on the ball, the wide midfielders behave almost like wingers, pushing high and wide to support attacks. But when you are out of possession, they are supposed to drop back inside and add more bodies to the midfield. Now this is where the real problem started, and this is why we conceded so many goals in this game. Let me explain it clearly, starting from what happened in the last match. If you look closely at most of the goals we conceded, they all started from the same place, lost possession in dangerous areas. The moment we lost the ball, Bournemouth immediately broke on the counter. By that time, Mount and Ahmad were already high up the pitch because they had overlapped and pushed forward as part of their role and create options forward. That meant that, in transition, we were suddenly left exposed. Instead of having a compact midfield four, we were often left with just Casemiro and Bruno trying to recover. And even then, Bruno is usually higher up the pitch because of how much he contributes offensively, how much he tries to create and push the team forward. So in many moments, it was Casemiro alone trying to stop the counter. Once Casemiro was bypassed, it was straight onto the defenders. That scenario happened again and again during the game. One pass, one turn, one lost duel, and suddenly Bournemouth were running directly at our back line with numbers. That imbalance between attack and defense is the first major reason why we kept conceding goals, and it showed clearly throughout the match. Now let's talk about the second and very important point, because this is where the real problem lies. Whether we are playing a 3-4-3 or a 4-4-2, the reality is almost the same. We always end up with just two central midfielders. In both systems, the wide players are tasked with wide responsibilities, meaning they drift out to the flanks to create width, stretch the pitch, and support attacks. So even though on paper it looks like we have more bodies in midfield, in actual gameplay, the middle of the pitch is usually controlled by only two players. That is the nature of these systems. Now here's what that means. This setup allows us to play very direct football. We don't waste time circulating the ball endlessly in midfield. Instead, we move the ball forward quickly, direct passes into the strikers, quick switches to the flanks, long balls over the top. Because of that, we create chances for fun. We hit teams on the break, we overload wide areas, and if your attackers are clinical, you win games comfortably. That is the upside of this system. But here is the downside, and this is where things start to go wrong. If your attackers do not take their chances, the weaknesses of this setup become very obvious. Because we are not a possession-based team in this system, we lose the ball very often, not because we are careless, but because every time we get the ball, we are trying to create something immediately. We push forward, we attack, we take risks, and when those risks don't pay off, we lose possession. When that happens, we are exposed. We get hit on counterattacks. We concede goals in transition. And even when we drop back to defend, we still get punished at times because we don't control games through possession. This is a massive attack, massive defense system, there is no middle ground. You are either attacking at full speed or retreating quickly to defend. There is no room to slow the game down and just keep the ball. That is why we only use two central midfielders. The idea is not to dominate possession, but to attack fast and defend fast. And that is also why taking chances is absolutely crucial. If you convert your chances early, the disadvantages of this system don't matter because the game should already be finished. But when you don't take those chances, you expose yourself to everything that comes with this setup: counterattacks, pressure, and goals conceded. Every formation has strengths and weaknesses, and in this one, efficiency in front of goal is non-negotiable. But the truth is, this system only really works properly when your two central midfielders can give you everything, on the ball and off the ball. They have to be energetic, quick, strong, disciplined, and intelligent. They need the legs to cover ground, the pace to recover on counters, and the quality to help in attack as well. And that is where the problem starts for us. Casemiro is trying, nobody can question his effort, but he simply cannot give you the level of energy and intensity a younger midfielder can provide in this kind of system. He does his best, but there are physical limits, and this setup exposes that. Bruno Fernandes is also trying, but we all know Bruno's biggest value is in attack, not in defensive work. He gives you goals, assists, chances, creativity, but you cannot expect him to consistently protect the defense as well. Then you look at the back line, and the issues become even clearer. We played Luke Shaw as a central defender, and let's be honest, Shaw is a fullback. Yes, he can fill in, yes, he tries, but he cannot offer the same defensive security, positioning, and instincts that a natural centre-back gives you. Add to that the fact that we had two young defenders who are already used to playing in a back three, and suddenly they are asked to operate in a back four. In those moments, you could see the confusion. Players didn't know who should step out, who should hold the line, who should track the runner. There was no clear communication, no clear leadership, no defensive discipline. That lack of connection was obvious throughout the game. Yes, we missed De Ligt badly in that match, no doubt about it. But even when De Ligt plays, we still concede goals, and I've already explained why. It comes back to the midfield balance and the way this formation works. The defense gets exposed because of what happens in front of them. Still, one thing remains very clear: this squad needs reinforcements. We need another midfielder, and we need another proper central defender. Until those issues are addressed, these problems will keep showing up, no matter how good we are going forward. Now, one major positive we cannot ignore is this: we are creating a huge number of chances. In fact, in the Premier League right now, we are number one when it comes to chances created, and the only team that has scored more goals than us is Manchester City. That alone tells you a lot about where this team actually is. Even with all the chances we are missing, we are still joint second with Arsenal among the teams that have scored the most goals. Now imagine this for a second: if we were more clinical, if we were just a little bit more ruthless in front of goal, we could easily be the highest scoring team in the league. And if that was the case, we wouldn't just be talking about goals, we'd be talking about points, because we would definitely have more points than we have right now. This is why I keep saying we are not in a bad phase as many people think. We are currently sitting 6th on the table, we are scoring goals, and we are creating chances almost for fun. The real issue is not that we can't attack, it's that we are not finishing what we create, and because of that, we are dropping points we shouldn't be dropping. If we had taken our chances properly, some of these games would have been finished early, and the pressure on the team would have been completely different. So going forward, there are two things that have to improve together. First, we must start converting our chances, simple as that. At this level, you can't keep missing clear opportunities and expect to win consistently. Second, we have to improve how we defend as a unit, especially when we lose the ball. Everyone has to track back, not just the midfielders. The responsibility cannot be left for only two players in the middle. And defensively, our centre-backs need more time and more work in a back four so they can understand each other better, communicate better, and learn how to deal with through balls more effectively. If we fix these things while maintaining the level of chance creation we already have, this team will be in a much stronger position.